There is no time but now. There is no place but here. In the secret we do stand, in a circle hand in hand. There is no time but now. There is no place but here. In the secret we do stand, in a circle hand in hand.
Hello, I'm Chris Tackett, the pianist for the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson. Welcome to my living room. Stick around after the postlude and I'll tell you what I played.
Welcome to the Baja 4 Unitarian Universalist worship service for May 3rd, 2020. I'm Reverend Julie Olson, and I'm here today with Deacon Carrie Cooper. We are both ordained by the Sacred Well Congregation, an international pagan church. We are also officers and clergy of the Southern Arizona Covenant of Unitarian Universalist Pagans, or SASCUPs for short. We are here today to introduce ourselves to the three congregations that don't know us as well as UUCT does, and to celebrate the Celtic holiday of Beltaine, a fire and fertility festival celebrated by modern Wiccans and Druids. You'll notice that we've added some elements from Wiccan worship services to our regular order of service. Because they had no church buildings, and because they had to worship in secret, Wiccans created sacred space at the beginning of their services. We can do that ourselves in our own homes today. Take a deep breath and focus on the pulse of energy within your body. Imagine a soft, white light at the center of your heart. Feel the heat and the light of your own energy expand with every exhalation. That light has a fiery, purifying effect on the air around you. See your heart energy begin to grow and slowly expand into a small sphere. As you continue to pour energy into it, watch it grow to encompass the room. We now have a beautiful sphere of protection around us. The circle is cast. We are now between the worlds. After creating sacred space, Wiccans often call to the spirits of the elements to join rituals. We can also do this in our homes today. I invite you now to close your eyes and take a deep breath. Feel the air enter your lungs. Each breath fills our bodies with the life force. With each breath, air provides clarity. We give thanks to the element of air. I invite you now to feel your heartbeat, the fire within you. If you wish, place a hand on your chest and feel the movement. Your heart is beating the dance of life. We give thanks to the element of fire. I invite you now to feel your emotions, to remember what it is like to be among friends and family, to be embraced by those you love and care for. The wisdom of ages, the mysteries of life, we give thanks for the element of water. I invite you now to feel the presence and weight of your body. This is the shell that houses your spirit. This is the physical home, the gift that the earth gives to you. We thank the element of earth. Feel the elements as they move around you and within you. Feel every aspect of your being alive and vibrant. You are part of this world, and the world is part of you. Take one more breath. Open your eyes and be fully present in this moment. Be ready to begin.
I'm the Reverend Matthew Funk Crary. I serve our congregation, Borderlands Unitarian Universalist, and it's my pleasure to call us to worship. As surely as we belong to the universe, we belong together. We join here to transcend the isolated self, to reconnect, to know ourselves to be at home here on earth, under the stars, and linked with each other. Beltaine is the beginning of summer, the Celtic May Day festival. Let us celebrate Beltaine today. Let us pray with a good fire.
Hi, I'm the Reverend Samantha Wilson from Mountain Vista Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We invite you to light your own chalice or candle in your home with these words. May the light of this chalice give light and warmth to our community when we are joyful and when we despair. May we feel the warmth spread from our circle to wider and wider circles until all know they belong to the one circle of life.
The reason for the season. The sacred wheel of the year continues to turn, and now we're at the threshold of summer. We come to Beltaine, a holiday for the Festival of Fire. Everything is rising and everything is possible. The land is waking up again, and we see signs of fertility in the desert. Flowers are blossoming. This is the season of the birds and the bees. Saguaro cactus sport crowns of flowers, and bees are searching for pollen in everything that's blooming. The sap is rising. This is a festival of love and fun. This is the time to dance the maypole with colorful ribbons. How can you find what's fun again? How can you light your sacred spark in this time of creativity? We welcome all who come in love and friendship to join us and celebrate Beltaine today.
Hi, I'm Aisha. These are my parents. Do you know what day it is? It's May 1st, May Day, the day we celebrate Beltaine with all of our Wiccan friends. What's Beltaine, you ask? My parents say Beltaine is a time to celebrate love. Ack. But they also say that they're happy about it being in the middle of spring when everything's growing, like plants and me. They think it's beautiful and that makes them happy. But the grown-ups are all lovey-dovey. They've been smiling and hugging and kissing and staring at each other with these big moon eyes all day. But pretty soon, we all pile into our car and go to our friend Alex's house on the beach for the Beltaine party. As we pull up to Alex's house, I can see the big maypole in the yard with colorful ribbons around it. I love the big hugs that Alex gives everyone. He's really tall and always picks us up and spins us around when he hugs us. There are lots of our friends dressed in bright yellows and reds and greens and blues. The grown-ups are all as silly and happy as my parents, kissing and giggling and yelling, "Happy, happy Beltaine!" We are getting ready to start the ritual. I pick up a small drum. Heather chooses a rain stick. Eli gets a pair of cymbals. We're ready for the circle. We play our instruments and stand facing north. All the kids call out, "By the earth that is her body." Then we continue around the circle, each facing east. We call out, "By the air that is her breath." Facing south, we chant, "By the fire of her fiery spirit." Then we walk around, drumming our drums, clanging our cymbals, and dancing. When we face west, we call, "By the water of her womb." We join hands with the grown-ups and form one big circle. Everyone says together, "A circle is cast," and we all cheer. One by one, we step forward and take ribbons. Alex takes a red ribbon and says, "I take red to bring creative fire to all my stories." My mom's friend Alice takes a blue ribbon. She says, "I take blue for healing my body." Alice was in the hospital a few months ago. "I pick orange," I announce. "Why orange?" someone calls. "Because I love it." "For love," someone replies. Each person picks a ribbon. I look around at the circle of different people, and I love them. When everyone has a maypole ribbon, a woman walks around the circle drumming. Half the people in the circle take a few steps closer to the maypole. We begin to dance, winding our ribbons over and under the others. At first, the dance is slow. We begin to sing a song. Our song gets louder when our ribbons are all wound up. We let the ribbons drop and get tied together at the bottom of the pole. We join hands. We link arms. We dance until all we can do is collapse into a circle sprawled on the grass. And then we are quiet. We are so quiet we can hear bugs buzzing in the air. A woman walks around the circle with a big jug of water, and we take turns splashing our hands and faces and the ground. After a few minutes, the other kids and I pick up our instruments and walk the 4 directions of the circle in reverse. West and south, east and north. We thank each of the directions for being a part of our celebration. Then everyone holds hands and yells, "Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again." After we've opened the circle, we begin our feast: fruit, heart-shaped cookies, raspberry juice, and much more. Later, as we're getting ready to leave, my parents ask me, "Do you see what we mean about Beltaine now?" I thought about my friends, about playing the drum, about Alex's big hugs, about all the things we did today that showed each other love. I might not show it, but I think Beltaine is the coolest holiday ever. It's my new favorite. But that's between you and me.
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. Welcome to the Saz Cup's Big Top. Our chapter's mission is to unite UUs and Pagans in different faiths in an inclusive, welcoming space. We have Wiccans and witches. Yes, there is a difference. All Wiccans are witches, but not all witches are Wiccans. We have Druids and heathens that worship with us, and we also have atheists and humanists. We practice big tent paganism that deliberately includes many traditions. This concept comes from Druid John Beckett, a UU living in Texas. Big tent paganism is multi-religious and cheerfully interfaith. Imagine, if you will, a huge circus tent, he says. We like to make the circle wide and pray well with others. He goes on to say, Druids and Wiccans, heathens and Hellenists, Thelemites and chaos magicians, shamans and seers, kitchen witches and tree huggers, there's room for everyone in the big tent. Draw circles around our groups and no one circle will include us all, but there's lots and lots of overlap in our practices, interests, concerns, and beliefs. Individually, no one tradition is big enough to support large endeavors, but together we can. This tent is supported by 4 poles, which are the centers of paganism: nature, the deities, self-development, and community. While other denominations shut people out, UUs find ways to invite people in. The big tent has room for all of us who wish to celebrate. Now, I call myself an eclectic Wiccan, and that's true. I've added beliefs and worship practices from pagan religions other than the one I was initiated into. I've also studied Eastern traditions and have incorporated some of Taoists and Buddhist beliefs into my spiritual life. I am not sure where in the tent my Eastern influences put me, but I do stand near the nature pole. I revere nature, and following the wheel of the year is deeply meaningful for me. I also stand near the self-development and community poles because I firmly believe that I am supposed to learn throughout my lifetime and that I'm better in a community. Carrie describes herself as a techno-pagan and not a tree hugger. She's not shy about using the compass app on her cell phone to find north when we're setting up for a circle outdoors. The poles she stands closest to are deities and community, especially liturgical development. She says she is hardwired to love 2 things: God, spirit, love, and research. Being together with other people and learning about their beliefs strengthens her spiritual practices as well. She says, "My gods are not supernatural or far away. I'm in daily conversation with my beloveds. We're kind of cozy. I have a special devotion to Brigid and Lou, holy ones of the Irish pantheon. Both are bright deities with many skills who have value excellence and worship in devotion." However, a belief in God is not needed for Wiccan practice or attunement with the universe. You can meditate because you believe it brings your will in alignment with the divine. You can also meditate because you believe that observing your thoughts brings you in tune with how the world works. Both are valid and holy acts. In our Cups chapter, we make a place for the belief and inclusion of differing views on nature, the gods, and spirituality. One of the things that makes my partnership with Carrie so powerful is our differences, that I'm a humanist and she is a polytheist. This is where I fall back on the old double mint gum commercial, and Carrie lovingly rolls her eyes at me. I say, "We have two faiths in one." In response, Carrie modifies the old Reese's Peanut Butter Cup slogan, "We have 2 great faiths that faith great together." But we can't just take standard Wiccan ritual texts and use them. For one thing, they don't have any UU content. For another, the standard Wiccan language calling on the Lord and the Lady doesn't work for inclusive circles. There is no Wiccan holy book to use. Each pagan writes their own magical journal. We are pushed to write new material and craft thoughtful rituals that widen our community. Because we are not beholden to a holy book, we are free to study many sources of spirituality and the wisdom from the world's religions. As Peter Dybing, a UU pagan blogger, said, "We embrace both our pagan identity and the membership in the UU Church. Walking more than one path at a time brings clarity to the divine's intention to hold all humanity as sacred. Wicca is not ancient, but it is an effective and meaningful religion. It honors the earth, drawing us close to the land that we live on, and it values women as equal to men. It says we do not need a priest to talk to the divine. We are responsible for ourselves, our environment, and each other. Minister Vanessa Southern says, our Universalist ancestors were lit up with a commitment to the message of unconditional divine love and the challenge to be disciples of that love. The roots of our UU traditions hold us close. The wings of our pagan faith set us free. These two circles of devotion flow together, and we sing to the Spirit of life with joy. So mote it be, so it already is. Blessed be.
I've never lived through a global pandemic of this scale before. Neither have you. Neither has anyone. This is not what we wanted to be doing, but this is what we have to do. 2020 was supposed to be a year of glorious exploration and 2020 vision. We were promised jetpacks and flying cars, said Reverend Matthew Funkrary when he came to speak to our congregation. We were supposed to be living the dream of our Unitarian ancestors in a modern world. Remember that? When we could gather in our congregations and our sanctuaries? It seems like a year ago, not just 8 weeks. Instead, we're in quarantine. As the meme says, we are socially isolating ourselves so that no one is lost when we get back together. We are riding huge waves of emotion daily, sometimes hourly, grief, anger, sadness, sometimes joy as we move through this crisis. We are wearing masks in public, and we are not touching. When Julie and I started planning this service months ago, I was going to preach to you about the ways that our 7 principles align with the 7 chakras. Before the pandemic, I wanted to lead you in a beautiful meditation through a flower garden with a spiral path through the colors of the rainbow. Each stop would be a different chakra and a different blessing from a principle. I thought we could talk about the silent embodied prayers of the mystic Julian of Norwich. Perhaps I'd even lead you through the UU Rosary developed by the Reverend Eric Wickstrom, naming our blessings, knowing our concerns, listening in meditation, and sending love so that we could get centered. But this is not the time for long meditations or esoteric practices of a mystic. Friends, this is the time to dig in and find holiness in the everyday. I'm finding sacred in breathing, moving my body, and washing my hands. Let me tell you about it. Breathing. These days, I often find my shoulders have climbed up to my ears and my breath is shallow and worried. The most helpful thing to me these days is not fancy prayers or long rituals or even my beloved prayer beads, but just returning to my body and to my breath. Take a moment and tune in with me now. Slide your shoulders down. Make space under your ears. lengthen your neck. Place one hand on your heart while you breathe. You can also place one hand on your belly. I think of the words of my yoga teacher, Adrienne. She has a YouTube channel, and I've never met her in real life, but she is one of my favorite teachers nevertheless. Adrienne says, let's take this time to reset, reconnect, and remember that we are worthy of love. Remember or reconnect with the truth or the fact that you are worthy of love, that you are love. Breathe. Lots of love in, lots of love out. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Make your breathing luscious. Breathe gently and fully, and hold your hands as if you're cradling a sleepy baby whom you really love. Return to your root. Breathe in kindness. Breathe out gratitude. Spend as much time as you need resting in this love. These days, I don't have the patience for long meditation practice, but I can take walks in my neighborhood. My friend Melanie Cooley is a gifted dance teacher. She encourages her students to dance their prayers. Just a little bit of movement shakes out a whole lot of worry. Her mentor, Gabrielle Roth, said, the fastest way to ease the mind is to move the body. So if it's not too hot out, I put on a sun hat and my mask. Sun protection, social protection. I step outside into the brightness and I feel the sun on my skin. A favorite mantra comes to mind. Sky above and earth below, I salute you. Yes, it probably comes from Skyrim, but that's okay. The beautiful desert sky arches above me. The Holy Land supports me. This mantra reminds me to pause and look at our beautiful world and really take it in for a moment. The seasons are turning without us trying. Summer is coming, and this pandemic will pass eventually. My grandfather walked 2 miles a day, every day in his own neighborhood. He would walk to get the paper and then work the crossword puzzle. You've got to take care of your body and your mind, he would say. I think of him as I walk. Melanie says we are learning to trust our feet, to trust them to carry us, to feel and to sense the ground beneath us. And so I walk mindfully, feeling my feet against the earth, and I pray. Guide me to a steady place where I may ground myself. Be with me today as I blaze my path. As we wash our hands, we pray. Blessed is the soul of the universe, breathing us in and breathing us out. May we keep breathing and may we remain calm. May our health and the health of all be preserved, and may we be peaceful during this time of sickness and great fear of sickness. Holy wholeness, divine beloved, call us into your circle of care. Keep us kindly and remain by our side. We take refuge in your healing waters. We are under your keeping each early and late. We take refuge under your mantle. Let us amplify your love and compassion in all we do, all in your honor and in your good company. Amen, and blessed be.
We invite you now to participate in a simple Beltaine ritual this week. It is adapted from Unitarian Universalist Druid John Beckett. And for this ritual, you will need a candle, some bread, and some wine or grape juice, or if you're like me and only have iced tea in the house, that would work too. I invite you first to light the candle. And take a few deep breaths as you look into the flame. Let your focus fade into the flickering light. See in this light the season you have left behind, the cold and dark of desert winter nights. This is past, and Beltaine is here, bringing with it the warmth of summer. What else are you leaving behind? Illness, difficult or even abusive relationships, confusion over your life's direction or your values. What fears used to paralyze you that you now stride past with determination? See how far you have come. When you're ready, say, I leave winter behind and I move forward into the work of summer. Don't rush this part. Give yourself time to really feel, not just think, about these changes. When you're ready, turn and face your candle again. Eat some of your bread and drink some of your wine or juice. Gently extinguish the candle and give thanks for all the blessings you have received.
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet
Our prayer is adapted from authors Ayu Sutriasa and Iris Anya Moon, who offer 2 prayers for expanding love in a time of pandemic. This is the work of the heart. This is the work of resilience. This is the magic we want to bring into the world. It's the work of washing hands and cleaning surfaces. It's the work of staying still. It's the work of listening to my body instead of my mind. It's the work of softening into the fear, putting an arm around it and letting it know I see it, and witnessing to its want to be seen. It's the work of breathing into and through. These are the days of love magic that look like loving beyond reason. These are the days of remembering that your heart is beautiful and resilient. It beats without your will, and it allows flow and oxygen and life. This is a time of surrender, to be sure. It is a time of holding yourself in hope, for hope is what stretches and bends across the time that is. It is the whisper that says, insists, keep going. No matter what, whether it turns out okay in the end or not, you carry the divine within you. You are enough, not because of the things you do, but because of who you are, fundamentally, intrinsically, always and without exception. Take a breath or 2 to allow yourself to know this. We are each one person breathing this one breath with common divinity. We can do this together.
We can't cast a circle by joining hands, but we can still reach out to each other online. I'm grateful to our Baja 4 ministers and to all the staff of our congregations who are keeping us spiritually fed during these tough times. Thank you for sharing this worship space with us. Thank you for letting us craft your service today. I'm thankful that our congregations are working together, and I pray that our collaboration continues even when this pandemic ends. It's been really fun getting to know people from other churches. Reverend Catherine Clarenbach, a UU minister and a Wiccan priestess, writes this about Beltaine. Flowers have glorious power of attraction and wear all sorts of colors. Bees do a kind of shimmy wiggle-waggle dance to tell other bees where the pollen is. The bees give us honey, mead, beeswax. We give thanks for the gifts of the bees and the flowers. We give thanks for this opportunity to gather together and worship and our sweet connections. We give thanks for the blessing of the earth and its seasons. Amen, and blessed be.
We extinguish our chalice today with these words. Spirit of life, we thank you for your good gifts. This fire is gone, but the true fire lives within us. Its flame ignites our passions. What do you love? Whom do you love? Go forth and live your fire. So mote it be.
We give thanks to the elements and release the circle now. We are cleansed by water, charged by fire, refreshed by air, and rooted in the earth. Powers of air, fire, water, and earth, we thank you for joining us today. We carry your love in our hearts until we meet again. Merry meet, and merry part, and merry meet again. Blessed be.
Well, may the 4th be with you. That, of course, is John Williams, the throne room and end title music from Star Wars Episode 4, which was the first one, which that never made any sense to me, so whatever. Anyway, happy May the 4th for those of you who celebrate. The prelude was Duke Ellington's Sophisticated Lady. Happy birthday, Duke Ellington. His birthday was last Thursday. And the 2 interludes were takeoffs on There Is a Love. If you have ideas or suggestions for anything for me to play, please contact me via Facebook. That's the easiest way to find me. And thank you so much.